The following video was recorded by a toll booth security guard working alone on a stretch of highway sometime in the early hours of June 18th of 2022, past 4 a.m. when the road is mostly empty and the dark outside his small booth is total. For weeks, he'd been experiencing things during his overnight shifts that he couldn't explain away, knocking on his door and windows with no one there, objects shifting on his desk, and a recurring sense that something was moving out on the road just beyond the reach of his lights. On this particular night, he set out to document as much of it as he could, moving between the inside of his booth and the dark highway outside, armed with a flashlight and what appears to be an EMF meter or spirit box. Watch.
Son las 4:17 de la mañana. Están golpeando de nuevo la puerta, la caseta. Que escuchen ustedes de nuevo para que vean que esto no es un juego. Que ahí siempre golpean 10 o 5 minutos y después se detienen. Conche tu madre, se acaba de mover el vaso, se acaba de mover ese lapicero, acaba de hacer un movimiento hacia allá. Bueno, y ahora acaba de escuchar que golpearon atrás mío. Bueno, hay que mantener la calma. Si te pasa algo de esto alguna vez, hay que mantener la calma. Salí acá afuera y miren cómo está. Dieron vuelta la barrera. No sé qué mierda pasó. Escucho un golpe. Escucho ustedes mismos. Ahí estamos, vamos. Vamos a hacer una moto ahí. Bueno, está la ploa ahí, botada ahí. Pero nada más, no sé qué hace los ruidos. No he querido exponerme mucho a este tipo de energías. De hecho, casi no salí ni siquiera al baño acá.
What makes the footage unsettling isn't necessarily one individual moment, but the way the incidents seem to keep building on each other, because the pen holder on his desk appears to slide without anyone touching it. The knocking continues, and then, around the 1 minute 11 second mark, a low, guttural groan can be heard, coming from somewhere around the booth. The sound is deep and unnatural enough that viewers have struggled to connect it to the passing vehicles or ordinary highway noise, especially considering how isolated the guard appears to be at that hour. Eventually, after dealing with the strange activity for most of the night, he decides to go inside and lie down for a while, apparently believing that whatever had been happening outside might finally stop once he was asleep. Instead, something wakes him. Watch.
Bueno, chicos, se alcanza a ver bien temprano un choque fuertísimo. Vengo a ver acá cómo quedó, fíjense. Por esa parte donde está la barrera ahí, pasó un camión a otro lado, no sé si era un fallecido. Pasar algún par de veces una sombra negra, no sé si era hombre o mujer, humano o no humano, pero he visto pasar una sombra negra. Así que bueno, voy a hacer una ronda rápida aquí y voy a sacar unas fotos por aquí a ver si veo algo raro. Alcancé a ver algo, la primera foto se ve como una mancha, en la segunda ya se ve un poco más claro, no sé qué es, pero se ve como una forma rara. No está corriendo nada de viento y se acaba de dar vuelta esta barrera sola. No anda nadie más. Se estaba ahí y saltó acá.
A knock pulls him out of his sleep, and when he gets up and goes outside to investigate, there is nobody there. He searches the area, but doesn't find anyone around the booth, leaving him with the same unanswered question that had been following him throughout the night. Who or what keeps knocking when nobody is there? But then some viewers noticed something buried in the audio that makes the encounter even more unsettling. According to them, there appears to be a faint female voice saying, "Te vi salir," which translates to, "I saw you leave," followed later by another soft voice that sounds like it responds with, "Si." If those voices are genuinely present in the original recording, the implication is much more disturbing than simply hearing an unexplained noise, because "I saw you leave" suggests awareness, as though whatever was making the sounds wasn't simply lingering around the booth, but was actually watching the guard move in and out of it. In this next clip, a family in Marrakesh is dealing with something that seems to have taken an interest in their living room, and on this particular night, it made itself impossible to ignore. For a little while, things had been unsettled in the house, but nothing had escalated the way it does here. The man filming is in the living room with his wife and their young son, Massimo, when two loud bangs ring out from the direction of the sofa. Massimo immediately shouts for his mother, clearly terrified. You can hear him crying as she rushes over to comfort him. The family moves into the hallway to calm him down, and for a moment, the camera drifts back toward the living room. Watch.
Esci, ma faccio la Massimo, già.
Cazzo, mamma mia, andiamo.
Fammi un giro. Non avere paura, Massimo, non è niente, non avere paura. Papà ti ha preso pure una bella cosa, ti ha preso pure l'uovo. Non c'è niente. Non avere paura. Non avere paura. Non avere paura.
Massimo le sciarpe, bevi e pantofole massime, per favore.
Mi si che cazzo tu faccio io? Muori. Mica si è messo paura. Massimo, mica ci ha avuto paura.
No, guarda, vedi,
Non è niente, guarda.
Guarda,
Apri, non c'è niente, guarda.
alza tu.
Guarda il cavo. Alza, guarda. Non ci sta nessuno, hai visto?
Togli le... No.
No, togli le mani.
Vieni, andiamo, vediamo la...
E lo forse era il vento che si alzava, hai capito?
The heavy lid of the sofa's storage compartment, which had been completely shut, moves on its own. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, a term used to describe disturbances linked to sudden, forceful movement of objects, often associated with households where children are present, which has led some researchers to theorize that a child's emotional energy may somehow act as a catalyst. Others aren't so sure what to make of it, but Massimo's fear feels real, and whatever set him off happened before any of this was even on camera. So what exactly startled him first? This next video was recorded by someone hiking alone down an old fire road through a dense forest during the day, the kind of dirt path that cuts deep into the woods where the trees press in close on both sides, and the only sounds you'd expect are birds and your own footsteps crunching on gravel. According to the person filming, they noticed something strange when they stopped walking. The footsteps didn't stop with them. They kept going. Whatever it wasn't visible on the path ahead, and that alone was enough to make them stop and hold the camera still. Listen closely. After a few seconds of eerie, high-pitched melodic vocalizations drifting in from the tree line, sounds that don't match anything a bird or animal would typically produce, a breathy, distinctly clear whisper cuts through the ambient noise and says the word, "Please." The camera jerks left, and drops immediately, and you can hear feet scrambling on the gravel as whoever was filming started to run. That single word is what's getting the most attention online. Some viewers think it's the voice of someone lost in the woods, calling out for help, a simple, if unsettling, explanation. But others point to the melodic vocalizations that came before it, arguing that the sounds together suggest something far more deliberate, something that was already aware of the hikers' presence before they stopped. The second clip connects directly to that same theory. It was recorded at a 400-year-old plantation in Virginia, a state that, according to its own documented history, ranks among the most haunted in the country, with nearly 170 sites on the National Register of Paranormal Activity. The person filming had stepped out to walk the property when they turned the camera toward a cornfield stretching along the tree line. Watch. Underneath the wind rustling through the corn, a faint, ethereal melody floats in, high-pitched, almost choral, and then a sharp, single female-sounding cry rises above it and cuts off just as quickly as it started. Skeptics would say it's auditory pareidolia, the mind filling in voices from wind noise, but the final cry is distinct enough that that explanation is harder to hold on to. Virginia's plantation land carries centuries of layered history, and for many who've heard this clip, the sounds don't feel random. They feel old. So what do you think was calling out from those trees? Now in this next clip, a man is sitting on his couch late at night, controller in hand, mid-game, completely relaxed. The kind of quiet evening that doesn't feel like it's going anywhere unusual. But according to him, this isn't the first time something's happened inside this house. Starting at around the 13-second mark, a faint clicking or buzzing begins somewhere off-camera, barely audible at first, almost like a cicada warming up. It builds steadily for over 20 seconds, growing louder and faster, with no visible source anywhere in the room. Then it stops. Watch.
That's what I'm talking about. Hello?
That bang hits like something heavy being slammed onto a hard surface, and his reaction is immediate. He's off the couch, controller thrown down, heading straight toward the camera. "See what I'm talking about?" he says, and you can hear in his voice that this isn't new to him. He moves through the house calling out, checks the study, goes down the hallway, and pulls open the shower curtain in the bathroom. Nothing. Skeptics will say the whole setup looks too convenient. Camera already rolling, text on screen teasing what's coming. But that sound before the bang is hard to fake, and whatever made it never showed itself. So what do you think caused it? Now in this next clip, a man films himself walking through his house during the day, a cluttered, lived-in home with kids' safety gates, dog crates, and birthday balloons still floating near the ceiling. Nothing about it feels unusual at first. He makes his way through the living room and dining area before crouching down near a wire crate, where several items are laid out on the floor, including a long, thin metal rod with a decorative finial at one end. Watch.
Alright guys, so I'm home alone. My friend just left. Like I don't know how long because I was sleeping, but I'm home alone and I've been hearing like footsteps like down here. The only one person here is the dog. Like no one else is here. Like the basement, we don't go down there because that's where I don't know, it just doesn't feel right down there, so we just don't go down there a lot. That's where like the laundry and stuff is, but what was that? What the fuck? I swear I just saw someone running. I swear I saw someone. There's like no one here. I don't know what is going on. Like, this has really never happened before. Like, it's never been like this. Yeah, I hear footsteps sometimes, but like, it's never been this bad. I don't understand what this could be. Fix it later. What was that? What was that? What was that? I just saw a hand. I just saw a hand. What the fuck?
He picks the rod up, presses it flat against a textured wall, and it bends. Not slightly, it ripples and curves like rubber, conforming to the raised plaster surface as he runs his hand along it. Some viewers think this is simply a flexible prop, a trick rod designed to look solid on camera. Others aren't so quick to dismiss it, pointing to the way it moves as something harder to replicate with a standard novelty item. What it actually is, nobody's confirmed. The following clips were captured by a man and his family at La Prisa, a public park area in what appears to be a Spanish-speaking region, on 2 separate visits to the same location, and each time, something was waiting for them. On the first night, the family had come out to the park casually, letting their daughter play on the playground set while the adults talked nearby. The kind of unremarkable evening that shouldn't leave anyone shaken. But at some point, the man filming noticed something near a lone tree by a tall street lamp out across the wide, grassy field. A small, duckish shape he couldn't quite make sense of. Watch.
Oh, eso. No te vas a golpear en la resbaladilla cuando te bajes.
¿Me bajo?
Sí.
Ah.
Mira. Espérate. Dana, ven. Vénganse para acá. Mira, a ver, miren el árbol aquel. No, yo, la neta, te lo juro que yo miraba algo. Como que se asomaba. A ver, vengan.
Ya me dio miedo.
No, es que yo miré algo, neta. No pasa nada. No, mi amor, no pasa nada, ven. No era nada, ven. ¿Qué?
Yo vi algo. ¿Qué es?
No sé, no. Irga, sí se miró. ¡Hey! ¿Quién está ahí? Yo sí miré, alcancé a ver algo. Ya, ¿te checaste? ¿Viste?
¿Qué es eso?
A ver.
Ay, maldito.
Oh, mira.
¿Qué es eso? Ay, no.
¡Hey! ¡Lujo! ¡Asómate!
The man kept the camera zoomed in on that tree, trying to convince himself there was a rational explanation. What peeks out from behind that tree trunk is a pale, elongated face, hollow eye sockets, no other discernible features, staring directly toward the camera for several long seconds before the whole family erupts into screams and runs. The man shouts, "Brujo," as they flee, which in Latin American Spanish is used to refer to a witch or warlock, not a ghost, but something thought to be human in origin, a person who has crossed into dark practice and, according to certain regional folk beliefs, can take on unnatural forms or appear in places they shouldn't be. That distinction matters because a brujo isn't just a spirit lingering somewhere. It implies intent and the idea that whatever they saw chose to show itself. Skeptics argue the figure could be a person in a mask crouching behind the tree, which would explain the slow, deliberate emergence. But the face itself, pale, featureless, except for those dark hollows, doesn't quite match the shape of any mask most viewers could identify. And the genuine terror across that family, including the children, is difficult to fake at that scale. That changed everything about how they saw the park. They came back. On their second visit, the man returned with his wife and filmed from an elevated position above the park, telling the camera they'd decided not to go down this time, not after what happened before, but they still wanted to document what was there. The park appeared completely empty, no other people, just the equipment, the streetlights, and the dark. Watch.
Ay, pues se prendió. Pero miren, chequen nomás. Estamos solos, no hay nadie aquí en la presa. Aquí vinimos de nuevo para checar otra vez lo del mentado árbol que habíamos, de susodicho árbol, no, pero pues la neta, esta vez la verdad no quisimos bajar, ni quisimos, miren, aquí estamos yo y mi esposa, y pues la neta esta vez no quisimos bajar, por precaución, porque no sabemos qué es lo que puede haber ahí. Entonces mejor nos quedamos aquí, pero ahí se mira donde está solo. Mira, ahí están los juegos, donde está nada prácticamente. Ay, no mames. Mira. No me jodas. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes, miren. No, vámonos mejor. Vámonos. No, esto no está bien. Vámonos. Aquí definitivamente sí hay algo. Ahí nomás chequen, juzguen ustedes. Y mira, y nomás ese aparato es el que está. Nomás ese aparato es el que se está moviendo. No, sí está cañón. Vámonos mejor. No, vámonos ya. Bueno, nos vemos. Aquí ya mejor ya. Hay que dejarlos a gusto a los fantasmitas que estén haciendo ejercicio. Bueno, vámonos mejor. No está. Vámonos. Bye.
Multiple pieces of outdoor exercise equipment are moving on their own, back and forth, in the rhythm of people mid-workout. Ellipticals, a leg press, and then one machine in particular, a standing waist twister, begins moving with much greater intensity than the others, twisting steadily while everything else slows down, as though something has decided to focus its attention on that one spot. The man's wife quietly says, "Vámonos, let's go," and he agrees almost immediately. Before leaving, he jokes darkly that they should let the little ghosts finish their exercise in peace, which is either a coping mechanism or the only framework he had left for what he was seeing. Some viewers think the equipment was wind-driven, though the machines are designed with resistance mechanisms that require sustained force to operate, which makes natural movement harder to explain. Others believe that whatever they encountered near that tree on the first night hadn't left, that it was still there, unseen, going through the motions of being alive. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. 2 visits, 2 sets of footage from the same location, and whatever it is still hasn't shown its face again. At least not yet. What do you think they actually saw? The following clips were recorded by a man driving through Lomas de Lourdes, a residential neighborhood on the outskirts of Saltillo, Coahuila, late at night, and what started as a routine drive home turned into something he clearly wasn't prepared for. He'd already heard a noise from behind his back seat when he pulled over, and that's when he noticed something in the distance that made him stop entirely. Watch.
¿Qué onda, raza? Venía aquí manejando en Lomas de Lourdes y escuché un ruido acá atrás del asiento de atrás y me paré para ver qué onda y estoy viendo no sé, una mujer. Iba a irme por allá, pero pura madre. Miren.
Standing still on an embankment at the far end of the road, partially swallowed by the darkness, is a pale, upright figure, small from this distance, blurry, but unmistakably humanoid in shape. He says in Spanish that he can see a woman standing out there, and that he was planning to drive toward her, but then decided against it. That hesitation is telling. Something about what he was looking at didn't sit right, and for a lot of viewers who've grown up in northern Mexico, the image of a pale woman standing alone on a dark road at night carries a very specific weight. In Mexican folklore, La Llorona, the weeping woman, is said to roam near isolated areas and roads, mourning the children she drowned in a jealous rage. The legend has roots stretching back to pre-Columbian Mesoamerican traditions, and in communities throughout northern Mexico and Coahuila. Specifically, she's not just a ghost story told to children, she's a warning. Whoever encounters her is said to be marked by misfortune. So when this man peered out his windshield and saw that pale shape standing alone in the dark, his decision not to go closer starts to make a lot more sense. But then he changed his mind. In the second clip, he describes driving toward the figure to get a better look, calling it a mona, a bruja, or something worse. Watch.
Bueno, actualizando. Chingue su madre, le voy a dar por ahí a ver qué chingados es. A ver si es una mona o una bruja o algo, o estoy viendo mal. Vamos a ver qué onda, vamos a darle rápido.
A la verga, si es una pinche señora. Miren, 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 miren. Oh, la verga.
The car moves up the hill, the figure still visible on top of a low concrete wall as he approaches, and then, as he passes the exact spot, it's gone. He exclaims in Spanish, clearly shaken, confirming that yes, it was a woman standing there, and then frantically panning the camera around trying to find where she went. There's no walkway, no obvious exit point visible in the footage, and the disappearance happens in the moment it takes the car to pass. That detail, the figure being there and then simply not being there, is what pushed a lot of viewers from curious to genuinely unsettled. Some think it was a real person standing on a wall who simply stepped down or moved into shadow at just the right moment. Others aren't convinced any living person would choose to stand motionless on a concrete ledge on a dark road in the middle of the night. He wasn't done though. He circled back. Watch.
Aquí vamos a pasar de nuevo. A ver si sigue ahí la llorona. Mírala, mírala.
Driving past the same concrete wall again, he says out loud that he's coming back to see if La Llorona is still there, and barely seconds later, a pale, blurry shape appears briefly behind the fence line, prompting him to shout at the camera to look. It's fleeting, lasting only a second before the car's motion carries it out of frame. 3 passes, the same stretch of road, the same pale shape, appearing, vanishing, and then appearing once more. Whether it's a person, a trick of the headlights, or something that fits the old Coahuila legend far too well to dismiss, the road in Lomas de Lourdes doesn't seem to have given him a clear answer. What do you think he was looking at? This next clip was recorded during what appears to be a memorial gathering inside a family home, a daytime service, with candles and a cross of white flower petals laid out on the tiled floor, suggesting a recent and very painful loss. The family had released a white star-shaped helium balloon near the memorial, and what happened next is the reason this footage was shared at all. Watch. The balloon drifts away from the memorial on its own, floats purposefully through a doorway into the next room, and descends directly onto the lap of a teenage boy, sitting alone on the edge of a bed, visibly heartbroken, hand pressed to his mouth, trying to hold himself together. It doesn't wander or bump along the ceiling the way a helium balloon normally would. It changes direction, lowers itself, and finds him. Many people who've watched this believe the balloon was being guided, that whoever was being mourned that day was making one final pass through their home, and chose that specific moment to reach the one person in the room who needed it most. Skeptics will point to air currents from the open doorway, and that's a reasonable argument. But if you watch the balloon's descent onto his lap, the shift in direction feels too deliberate, too targeted, to dismiss entirely. What do you think? This next clip was recorded on a baby monitor inside a toddler boy's bedroom on Christmas night of 2023 at around 6:45 in the evening. The room looks peaceful enough, a little teepee tent in the corner, a low floor bed with a wooden frame, the boy sitting quietly on a rug in the foreground, completely unaware of what's apparently happening just behind him. His parents had no idea anything was caught on the monitor until they reviewed the footage. Watch.
Someone please tell me what this scary motion in my son's room is.
A small, dark shape scurries across the floor at an alarming speed, low to the ground, passing directly behind the child from right to left. The parents insist there were no animals in the room. If you look at the zoomed replay, the motion blurs heavily, suggesting whatever this was moved far too fast for the camera's night vision frame rate to fully capture. Some viewers immediately pointed to a large rodent, but others weren't so sure, noting the movement pattern looks less like a small animal and more like something crawling deliberately. What was sharing that room with him? In this next clip, there are no people, no investigators, no one moving through the frame, just a porcelain doll seated alone in a high-backed armchair, filmed at night under a single warm yellow light, while a vintage mantel clock on the side table reads approximately 9:43. Whoever set this camera up and left it running clearly expected something to happen. The doll itself is dressed in a white and dark blue sailor outfit, and the room around it is completely still, the kind of still that feels deliberate, almost staged by something that knows it's being watched. For over a minute, nothing moves. Not the doll, not the clock, not a shadow. Watch. At around 31 seconds in, a loud, sharp crack erupts out of nowhere, high-pitched and percussive, like plastic or wood snapping under sudden pressure, or something releasing tension it had been holding for a long time. Nothing in the frame moves when it happens. The doll doesn't shift, nothing falls, and the ambient hum underneath the recording just continues on as if nothing occurred. That's what makes it so unsettling. If you listen closely, there's no build-up, no creak before it, just silence and then that sound, abrupt and clean. Some believe haunted dolls act as vessels, objects that absorb emotional energy or spirit attachment over time, and that physical sound, cracking, tapping, movement, are how that presence makes itself known. Others think the clip is simply capturing the natural expansion of materials in a quiet room, but a sound that sharp, in a room that's still, with nothing visibly causing it? That's a harder thing to reason your way out of. What do you think was in that room with the doll? The following video was recorded somewhere beneath what appears to be an abandoned industrial building. No voices, no footsteps, no sound at all. Just the slow drift of the lens through deep shadow, past a low brick wall, and down a long corridor, toward a faint greenish light in the far distance. Nothing seemed out of place at first. Watch.
Is your name Leroy? Dude, I just heard something from like another room. I heard something back that way. Dude, you hear that talking? You hear that? I hear a man's voice. Somebody might have called us here, dude. Ooh, what was that? Ooh, what was that?
There, between two of the support pillars, a tall, slender shape stands completely still, dark, undefined, blending almost entirely into the surrounding blackness. If you look closely, you'll notice it has a distinctly humanoid silhouette, but no discernible features whatsoever. Some viewers think it's a shadow person, a type of entity described across dozens of independent accounts as a tall, featureless, dark presence that appears briefly and then simply vanishes. Others think it's pareidolia, the brain forcing a human shape out of low-light geometry, and the footage is ambiguous enough that neither explanation fully wins. Now, in this next clip, a demolition crew in Adelaide, South Australia, was tearing down the old Royal Adelaide Hospital when one of them started noticing things that didn't quite fit the job. The building had already been stripped back, corridors cluttered with debris bags, walls scarred from demolition work, the kind of place that feels emptied out but somehow not quite vacant. A friend of the filmer was part of the crew and captured this footage on a handheld camera, pointing down one of the dimly lit hallways toward a set of double doors, one of them covered with a semi-transparent plastic sheet. Something behind that plastic catches the eye immediately. Watch.
And there's no cunt behind there, right?
I'm staring there the whole
Yeah, fuck. It's gotta be some reason for it, eh?
Yeah,
What are all these?
there's no one walking past that door.
Yeah, let's see. No, it's there again, dude. I'm filming it, eh? You alright, mate?
Kim is right.
Last time I was standing here by myself. Wouldn't you just freak, eh?
Yeah, dude, that's what.
I thought it was like someone joking around.
No, I'm glad it did.
Oh!
Why is it this above that line?
Can you explain that? There's no one behind there. What the f? Doesn't make any sense, man. And look at all this shit like in the air.
probably seen, I'm going to go outside.
Behind the sheeting, a dark, amorphous shadow moves from right to left, subtle, but there. Then a second shape appears, slightly more defined, holding position on the left side of the door. When the man in the full orange hazmat suit walks down the corridor to check what's behind the door, he finds nothing. The room on the other side, according to the footage, was an operating room, and it was empty. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the Royal Adelaide Hospital had been associated with paranormal reports for years before demolition even began, with staff and visitors describing strange shadows and unexplained figures throughout the building. Some believe that spirits tied to places of suffering, death, and trauma don't simply leave when the walls come down, and that the demolition itself may have stirred something. Where do you think they go when the building is finally gone? This next video was recorded inside what appears to be a long, dark hallway at nighttime, a corridor lined with wood-paneled walls and repeating archways that recede deeper and deeper into shadow, the kind of space that already feels wrong before anything happens in it. The artificial overhead lighting casts a warm, yellowish glow along the upper walls, but the far end of the hallway stays completely dark, like whatever's down there isn't meant to be seen. No one filmed this. No one was standing at the other end. Watch. Just beyond the first archway, a faint whitish-gray mist drifts smoothly from right to left across the corridor and vanishes into the shadows in under 2 seconds. Some viewers think it's a dust particle or lens artifact, and with footage this blurred, that's genuinely hard to rule out. Others believe it's something else entirely. What do you think was moving through that hallway? In this next video, a father had been growing increasingly concerned about his young daughter's behavior. At first, it seemed harmless enough. Like many children her age, she would spend long periods talking to someone nobody else could see, pausing as if she were listening to responses, laughing at jokes that no one had told, and occasionally looking toward empty corners of the room as though another child were standing there with her. Naturally, her father assumed it was an imaginary friend, until it stopped being a case of a child talking to something invisible. It became a case of something responding. Watch.
Miren hasta el final. Es una cosa muy loca lo que pasa acá, cerca de mi barrio, a la vuelta de mi casa. Bueno, mi hija se ve que tiene un amigo invisible, porque ustedes miren. Váyale, decirle que traiga el coche. Decirle que traiga el coche, decirle. Le dice que traiga el coche.
¡Dale el coche!
No.
In the video, the father challenges the situation directly. He asks his daughter to tell her imaginary friend to move the walker, and it did. One of the oldest paranormal beliefs surrounding children is the idea that they may be more sensitive to things adults no longer notice. Across countless cultures, there are stories claiming that young children can see spirits, entities, or presences that become inaccessible as people grow older. Whether that's folklore, superstition, or something else entirely is impossible to prove, but stories like this continue to fuel the belief. Some viewers suggested the child may have unknowingly formed a connection with a spirit. Others went much further, warning that not everything presenting itself as a child's friend has good intentions. What do you think? The following video was captured by a man doing what appears to be a late-night walkthrough of an empty industrial building. Service corridors, loading bays, the kind of place that feels unsettling even when nothing's happening. He moves through a series of narrow hallways, lit by fluorescent overhead lights, past recycling signs and yellow safety markings, before pushing through a plastic strip curtain into a vast, dimly lit loading dock below. Concrete pillars, orange industrial lights, long shadows stretching across the floor. The space is completely deserted, and from the moment the clip begins, there's already something deeply wrong, because a loud, continuous, high-pitched alarm tone is ringing out through the entire area with no clear origin. He pans the camera across the empty dock, taking in the loading bays and the grimy walls, and you can feel the tension building. Watch.
Oh, shit. Who's there?
He still hasn't gotten over that scream, and from the look of things, something knew he was there and reacted. Liminal spaces like loading docks and service corridors have developed their own folklore online in recent years, described as places that exist between destinations, spaces no one is supposed to linger in, and that in some accounts are thought to attract residual energy or presences tied to the labor and isolation those spaces carry. The second clip takes that atmosphere even further. The person filming moves through another service corridor in what appears to be the same building, pulling aside a mold-stained plastic curtain before walking slowly down a narrow passage with concrete walls and warm yellow overhead light. Listen closely. If you look at the top right corner, you'll see a humanoid figure hanging. After he shared the footage, many people immediately connected the figure to the scream captured earlier. Some speculated that whatever produced that sound may have been the same presence now appearing in the corridor. Of course, skeptics argue that the figure could be an illusion created by shadows, pipes, hanging material, or the low image quality of the footage. But for those who believe the scream and the figure are connected, that's a difficult explanation to accept. Now in this next clip, a man is working the night shift alone at a dark industrial factory, his first night on the job, when something stops him cold in one of the long corridors. He's moving through the building with a flashlight, checking doors, narrating to himself the way people do when they're trying not to feel uneasy about being completely alone in a space that large. You can hear it in his voice, that thin attempt at casual conversation with no one in particular. He makes his way down a long, empty hallway, concrete floor, exposed beams above, sparse lights doing almost nothing against the dark, and announces out loud that he's there by himself. Watch.
One more door. Yeah, this one's heavy. I'm here, all by myself.
At the far end of the hallway, a figure with long dark hair briefly peeks around the corner, just for a moment. What makes the sighting so unsettling is the timing. The figure appears immediately after he acknowledges that he's alone, almost as though something heard him and decided to respond. Whether that's coincidence or not, it's the detail that viewers keep coming back to. Many people compared the figure to one of the most common apparitions reported in industrial locations and abandoned buildings, the peeking ghost. Unlike full-bodied apparitions that stand openly in view, these sightings are often described as figures that watch from doorways, corners, stairwells, and hallways, revealing only part of themselves before quickly retreating from sight. Factories can be especially fertile ground for stories like these. Decades of accidents, overnight shifts, injuries, and constant human activity often leave behind local legends among workers. In many places, night shift employees pass down stories about figures seen in corridors, shadows standing near machinery, or unexplained encounters that only seem to happen after everyone else has gone home. Now, in this next clip, a man is spending a quiet night at home with his young son, the kind of ordinary evening where the biggest concern should be which action figure wins the fight. But something on the porch keeps pulling his attention back, and when it happens a second time, with his son sitting right there in the room, he doesn't hesitate for a second. Watch.
Se movió la silla. No mames. Hijo, vente. Salte. ¿Ahí estás, hijo? Sí. Te voy a echarte un ojito, papi. Quiero jugar contigo. Pero se pelean, papi. Sí. Ay, no, a ver. ¿Quién es el superhéroe y quién es el villano? Cuéntame, porque yo no sé.
Mira, este es el superhéroe. Y este es el villano.
No mames. No mames, ¿viste? Vete para acá, Se movió la silla. No mames. Hijo. Vente. Salte, 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 salte. Vámonos, vámonos, vámonos. Salte, 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 salte. Mierda. No mames. ¿Qué pedo? Vente, hijo. Vente, vente, vente. Agarra tus cosas. Vámonos, vámonos de aquí, vámonos de aquí. Vámonos, métete por la casa. Ahorita jugamos acá adentro, ¿sí? Es que se movieron las cosas. Métete, papi. Métete.
A white metal rocking chair on the porch begins moving on its own. No breeze, no one nearby, nothing physically touching it. The man grabs his son and gets him out immediately. Some viewers immediately pointed to a poltergeist-type presence, entities associated with kinetic disturbances, objects moving without contact, often described as being drawn to spaces where children are present. Others weren't ready to go that far, arguing the chair could have been disturbed by uneven flooring or a vibration from inside the house. But if you watch the second movement closely, the chair doesn't drift or wobble. It pushes forward with force, at a moment when the house is otherwise completely still. What's harder to dismiss is the pattern, the same object, the same location, twice in one night, and both times right when the man and his son were nearby. Whether something in that house was reacting to them or simply didn't want them there is a question the father clearly couldn't wait around to answer. The following video was recorded by a woman named Carrie Ann, who was out on a horseback ride near Mount Shasta in Northern California with her friend Jordan when the two of them stumbled onto something neither of them could immediately explain. It was dusk, the kind of low blue evening light that makes everything feel slightly off. And at some point during the ride they began hearing it, a loud, layered, almost ethereal sound rising up from the ground around them, like a chorus of electronic voices humming all at once. Carrie Ann pulled out her phone and started recording.
Jordan and I went on a ride, and we just came across this noise that we heard. We're going up this hill, and you can hear it in the background. I'm gonna show you. It's a little freaking creepy. Hold on. It's creepy. There's a mountain. And look at, there is another 100 of them out there, but it's like this Lemurian beacon system. I have no idea. Somebody put a lot of effort into this. Come on. This is insane. I guess they're solar powered. This one actually makes sense. The other ones are just white noise. All right, well, we're getting out of here. Stat. Jordan left me.
Mount Shasta has carried that legend for over a century, the belief that a hidden underground city called Telos exists beneath the mountain, the last refuge of the ancient Lemurians, a civilization said to have survived the sinking of their continent thousands of years ago. Whether the strange sounds are connected to this history or not, this is the exact folklore this place is famous for. The next day, the two of them went back in full daylight to get a better look. Watch.
Where is that coming from? It's like it's way over there, but it's also right here. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. This is straight apocalyptic. Somebody is summoning something here. What is happening? What is happening right now? Okay, no. Pretty sure Jordan and I just stumbled across a live Lemurian conference call. Sorry for interrupting. Mount Shasta for you. I am sitting here freaking out because I thought this bag of trash was talking to me, and everything you were saying was coming over the Bluetooth speaker in my bag. Oh my god. I'm like, the trash bag is talking to me now.
Oh, my phone is still connected.
Your phone was connected. I had to piss my pants going, we gotta go, because the trash is talking to us. Oh boy. In other words, actually, let's go.
Okay.
I'm over it. We just found another one. Way up the mountain. Something about salvation.
Now it's sunny, clear skies, and the hillside reveals something even stranger in the light. Not just a random scatter of devices, but long, serpentine lines of them, running up the slope in deliberate formations. Jordan laughs and says, "Mount Shasta for you," like this is somehow a completely reasonable thing to find on a trail. And she's not entirely wrong. The mountain attracts this kind of thing. But there's a second reveal, buried in this clip, that makes the whole thing even funnier. Carrie Ann realizes mid-video that the disembodied voices she'd been hearing the night before, the ones that had her genuinely convinced she was picking up something supernatural, were coming from her own Bluetooth speaker, playing from inside her saddlebag. She'd been terrifying herself with her own phone. Still, that explanation only covers the voices. It doesn't cover the hundreds of devices, or whoever placed them there, or why. So Carrie Ann went back a third time, this time determined to figure out the source. Listen closely.
All right. Boys and girls, we are going back and we're going to get to the bottom of this. Inquiring minds want to know. Oh, shit.
You are the representative of God for our spiritual elevation. We humbly worship, praise, thank, obey, and love God Almighty, the Most High, the greatest, for world beacon, world peace, and our soul liberation. We thank, love, praise the only Son of God, who is the ultimate master.
She finds the original packaging in a cardboard box on the hillside, product boxes printed in Chinese, featuring lotus flower and dragonfly illustrations, and when she holds one of the speakers up, you can hear it broadcasting a Buddhist chant, Namo Amituofo, a traditional chant to Amitabha Buddha, repeating from the solar panel on the device. She eventually tracks the product down to an Etsy listing, Vajrayana Mahayana Prayer Mantra Chanting Box, solar powered, sold by a seller called Lama Noriha for around $51 each. Whoever planted them went to significant expense and effort, spreading what appears to be hundreds of solar-powered prayer chanting boxes across a remote mountain trail in deliberate arrangements, left to broadcast Buddhist mantras and spiritual prayers into the open air around one of the most spiritually charged landscapes in North America. Some people in the comments found it beautiful, a kind of open-air devotional installation, broadcasting prayers for world peace at the foot of a sacred mountain. Others found it deeply unsettling, especially given how genuinely frightening the sound was at dusk. I'll let you decide which side of that you land on, but what nobody's been able to answer is who put them there, when, and whether they're planning to come back and add more. In this next clip, a man films himself indoors, speaking directly into his phone in Spanish, clearly shaken. He explains that the day before, he'd visited one of the lagoons of Chilca, a coastal area outside Lima, Peru, long associated with strange energy and unexplained occurrences, and that something happened there he couldn't explain. He's practically begging his viewers to help him figure out what he encountered. Then the footage cuts. Watch. The camera shifts to a nighttime outdoor scene, pointing down at a turquoise-painted wall covered in dark, smeared markings that resemble three-toed footprints or handprints. Then, at the very end, a large, dark hand with long, sharp claws suddenly grabs the corner of that wall from off-screen, textured, scaly, and unmistakably not human. Some viewers immediately called it a staged prop, pointing to the sound effect that drops right on cue. Others aren't so sure, because if you look at those markings on the wall before the hand appears, they were already there. So what exactly left them? Now in this next clip, someone is lying in bed in what looks like a motel room, filming from under the covers in a dimly lit space. And they've been awake for 3 days straight. That detail matters, because what they're about to capture puts everything in question. Watch. Standing beside the door appears to be a dark figure draped in what looks like a black cloth. What stands out most is the face, a pale. The figure doesn't appear to move. It simply remains there, watching from the corner of the room. At first, she assumes sleep deprivation is playing tricks on her mind. After 3 days without sleep, visual hallucinations are well documented and can become remarkably vivid, often involving shadowy figures or people standing in doorways. That alone would be a reasonable explanation. But then she reviews the recording. The figure appears to have been captured on camera as well. That detail is what convinced her she wasn't imagining it. Those who favor a paranormal explanation compare it to reports of shadow figures, particularly the subtype often described as cloaked or hooded apparitions. Dark, human-shaped forms with unusually pale or featureless faces that witnesses claim to encounter during the night. Whether the camera captured an ordinary object distorted by darkness, or whether her exhaustion simply caused her to notice something that had been there all along. The fact that the same figure appeared both to her eyes and through the camera lens is what continues to fuel the debate. Now, in this next clip, 2 men are filming outdoors at night along a dark dirt road somewhere in a Spanish-speaking country. The scene lit only by a single off-camera light casting a sickly greenish-yellow glow over the tree line. For a few seconds, everything is still, just shadows and shaky camera work, and a nervous exchange of words between them. Then something steps out of the foliage. Watch.
Ya fue, macho, vamos, vámonos acá.
Macho, mira, se está viniendo para acá. Está cruzando la calle, macho.
Se fue.
A small bipedal figure with a disproportionately large head hobbles across the dirt path from left to right, and the men immediately lose their composure. One shouting that it's crossing the street, heading toward them, before the camera jerks violently and cuts to black. What they're calling it in the audio is a duende, a term rooted in Spanish and Latin American folklore referring to a small goblin-like spirit, sometimes mischievous, sometimes deeply unsettling, said to appear near roads and wooded areas at night. You can hear the panic in their voices shift the moment the figure turns in their direction. Skeptics point to the poor video quality and suggest it could be a child or someone in costume, but that hobbling gait and oversized silhouette are genuinely difficult to explain away. What do you think was crossing that road? This next video was recorded by a man who says the strange activity in his home has been going on for a while. But on this particular night, things took a turn he wasn't quite ready for. It's 4:53 in the morning. He's downstairs alone, his family asleep upstairs, and he's got a cause light in his hand when the knocking starts coming from his basement door. Slow at first, one knock, then another, then a third, spaced out and deliberate, like something testing to see if he's listening. He points the camera at the door and pans the room briefly, showing the couch, the coffee table, the staircase with the baby gate at the top, and then comes back to the door. He says it himself. This isn't the first time he's heard it. Watch.
Alright, so that right there is my basement door, right? I'm downstairs by myself. It's like 4:53 in the morning, and I just started hearing that. I have no fucking idea what it is, but I'm down here by myself. Everybody's sleeping, just me. Ain't the first time I heard this shit either.
What makes this so unsettling isn't just the sound, it's the escalation. Those early knocks are almost calm, then they turn into a rapid, frantic drumming, the kind that doesn't sound like a pipe settling or an animal scratching, and then the bangs. 3 of them, each one louder than the last, hitting the door with a force that feels deliberate, almost impatient. He's not performing fear either. His expression is more confused than theatrical, like a man who genuinely doesn't know what to do next. Some people in the comments pointed to territorial behavior, the idea that whatever is making that sound is asserting itself, warning him rather than inviting him. Others suggested a more specific framework, comparing it to what some paranormal researchers call threshold phenomena, where entities are believed to be bound by certain boundaries and use sound to demand entry rather than simply passing through. Skeptics will point out a person hiding on the other side with nothing better to do at 5 a.m., but his tone, flat, tired, almost resigned doesn't read like someone in on the joke. The activity didn't stop there. The following night, or at least another night in the same house, he was sitting in that same room when the knocking started up again, this time from the wall beside the downstairs bathroom. He says he'd been hearing it regularly at that point, tapping on the bathroom door, sounds from the wall, the same pattern repeating itself. He started recording to see if anything else would happen. Watch.
Alright, so I was hearing that knocking again, right? Except this time it's coming from that wall right there, which is my downstairs bathroom. And after a while I started hearing tapping on the bathroom door as well. So, what else? Record. See if anything else happens. I mean, I hear the shit every night. It's... fuck? Okay, that's never happened before. Now I have to go check it out, otherwise you guys are going to be like, oh, it's probably somebody in there. Let's go see. I'll show you guys right now. Ain't nobody in this motherfucker right here. And it is empty. Yeah, no, that one was weird. That's never actually happened before. That's new, at least.
When he posted the footage online, most people focused on what they claimed to hear at the very end, a faint hissing sound that many missed the first time until they replayed it with headphones. Clay didn't think much of it at first, until viewers started asking about where he lives. When he told them he's in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the reaction changed. People in the comments claimed the area has a history of old houses with dark pasts. and that South Milwaukee in particular has more than its share of hauntings. This place is tied to several local stories, but there's one in particular about a man who disappeared in the 1950s, last seen walking into a house on Clay Street. Now, if whatever is in that house just crossed from making noise to moving things, the question worth asking is, what comes after that? The following videos were all recorded inside the same home, and what makes this collection so hard to dismiss is that it isn't a single isolated moment. It's a pattern, one that appears to be building, and one that seems to respond directly to the people living there. At some point, whoever is filming decided to start talking to whatever was present, addressing it by name, and according to these clips, it started answering back. The first time something happened on camera, she was sitting in the living room at night, a movie playing on the television in the background, a few drinks on the coffee table, nothing unusual about the setting at all. She speaks in a casual, almost playful tone, addressing something she calls Freddy, telling it she doesn't know its real name yet, but that she likes the one they've given it. Watch.
Come on, Freddy. I know we call you Freddy, but we don't know what to call you yet. But we like it. Wowzers.
The moment she finishes speaking, the large glass dish on the coffee table violently flips upside down with a loud crash, knocking over one of the cans and sending its contents spilling across the table. What's striking here isn't just that the dish moved, it's the timing. She addresses Freddy, she finishes her sentence, and then it happens, as if whatever was in that room heard her and responded on cue. Skeptics will say the dish was unstable, sitting at an angle, but the force of the flip is difficult to reconcile with a gradual, physics-based shift. It didn't wobble, it went. Not long after, the activity seemed to pick up. A second person is now in the room, a woman in a leopard print robe, standing near a wooden side table on the far wall, and whoever is filming says plainly, "Don't touch it. You don't have to touch it," as if issuing a warning to something unseen. Watch.
Don't touch it. You don't have to touch it. No.
Objects don't move like that on their own, so whether it's a true poltergeist or something else, the escalation is hard to ignore. Then she tried something different. Rather than filming reactively, she started making requests, pointing the camera toward the side table with the potted plant and the framed wolf photo. Listen closely.
Come on. Put the light on, put the light on.
Within paranormal circles, it's often claimed that entities interact with telephones, radios, and other electronic devices because they're believed to be easier to influence than heavier objects, using small amounts of electrical energy to produce physical movement. As soon as the footage was posted, many viewers suggested the same explanation: fishing line. It seemed like the most reasonable possibility, until she uploaded another recording. Watch.
Look, the light is on. You can clearly see there is no fishing wire or strings. It's just hovering. Look at that.
This time, the room is brightly lit. She deliberately points out that the lights are on, that there are no strings, no wires, and nothing supporting the object as it appears to hover in plain sight. Some paranormal researchers refer to this as levitation phenomena, one of the rarest and most controversial claims in haunting reports, where an object appears to suspend itself without visible support. Cases like these remain highly disputed because they're also among the easiest to fake. Then the activity spread beyond the furniture. Watch.
Look, 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 look,
Oh my
look at that! Ah, look at that!
Until now, she'd been experiencing everything alone, and that left plenty of room for doubt. Even she admitted there were moments when she questioned whether stress, exhaustion, or expectation could be influencing what she thought she was seeing. So instead of keeping the experiences to herself, she invited a close friend over, not to investigate the house, not to perform an experiment, but simply to witness whatever had been happening. She wanted someone with no emotional investment, someone who could tell her she wasn't imagining it. Interestingly, many paranormal investigators claim that alleged hauntings often become more active when fresh witnesses enter the environment. One theory suggests that an intelligent entity may intentionally reveal itself to new people, almost as if trying to validate its existence. Another proposes that the emotional energy of multiple people in the same space provides more energy for physical manifestations, allowing activity to become stronger or more dramatic than when a single person is alone. Whether there's any truth to those ideas remains impossible to prove. But according to the woman, it wasn't long after her friend arrived that the house appeared to respond.
You'll be alright. I'm not lying, the fucking picture is levitating. The fucking hell? You can't see it.
A picture seems to levitate in front of two witnesses, and according to the people living there, all of it centers around the same unseen presence. They call it Freddy. In many paranormal traditions, investigators caution against naming or regularly communicating with an unexplained presence. The belief is that repeated interaction, especially treating it like a personality, may reinforce the experience psychologically or, according to paranormal belief, encourage further activity by giving the phenomenon attention. Whether that's folklore or simply a psychological effect is impossible to verify, but it's a warning that appears across countless haunting accounts. So if something really was responding, the question isn't just why it moved, it's whether it was moving because someone finally started talking to it. In this next clip, a man filming alone in his apartment at night, who starts the video almost like he can't quite believe what's been happening. He mentions the wooden cabinet behind his red and black gaming chair has been rattling all evening, the kind of persistent, aggressive rattling that sounds less like a loose hinge and more like something deliberately pulling on it from the inside. The moment he hits record, it stops, which only makes him more unsettled, not less. He keeps the camera pointed at the hutch and the chair, holding his ground, saying he can hear footsteps even though he's alone in the apartment and his neighbors have already moved out. The rattling starts up again, louder this time, more forceful, like something picking up where it left off. Watch.
Footsteps again. See, this sounds like someone was pulling on it. Hello? Yo. Yo.
What happens next is hard to look away from. The gaming chair, completely unprompted, rotates smoothly to the left in one long, continuous motion while he's watching it in real time. And before he even knows what to say, something else happens.
You do it again? Yo, I'm good on that, man. That thing just tried to pull open again. Alright, you gotta go now. Like, yo, you gotta...
Many paranormal investigators would describe a sequence like this as classic poltergeist behavior. Unlike traditional ghost stories that center on apparitions, alleged poltergeist cases are typically defined by physical disturbances, knocking, furniture moving, objects sliding across floors, and activity that appears to intensify over time. Some theories even suggest these disturbances feed on fear or emotional energy, becoming more active the longer witnesses remain engaged. Others point to an interesting detail. He notices that almost every time the camera briefly loses focus, something else happens. Some paranormal enthusiasts believe unexplained electromagnetic disturbances can interfere with camera autofocus systems before visual or physical phenomena occur. Although there is no scientific evidence confirming such a connection, skeptics, however, offer more conventional explanations. A swivel chair on a smooth floor can rotate under the right conditions, subtle vibrations can cause lightweight objects to shift, and old furniture is notorious for creaking and rattling. Those are all reasonable possibilities. But what many viewers struggle to explain is the timing. The noises stop when he begins recording. They resume when he waits. The chair turns, the organizer slides, the hutch rattles again, and the man filming gradually goes from curious to frightened to simply wanting whatever is in that apartment to leave him alone. Eventually, he makes a decision. Instead of staying to find out what happens next, he walks out of the apartment altogether, and judging by the fear in his voice, he believed something inside was hoping he wouldn't. Now, in this next video, a man is sitting in his backyard in North Lamar on what appears to be an ordinary, overcast afternoon. There's nothing dramatic about the setting. No storm, no heavy wind, just a quiet day that shouldn't be memorable for any reason. Yet something overhead catches his attention. He's filming with his phone, staring up at the sky with an expression that shifts from confusion to genuine disbelief. Watch.
For the love of God, I need help. I got home 2 hours ago, and there's a limb just floating in the air. And I've been all over Google. I can't figure out for the life of me what the hell is going on. It's just, hold on. It's just floating there. As far as I zoom in on here. But I can't figure it out. It's just floating. Google's like talking about spider webs and all kinds of stupid crap, but it rained here like shortly after I got home, and it's still there. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I just can't figure it out. Right under it. Like, what the? I need help. I done talked to one of my neighbors. He is dumbfounded. I've done thrown stuff at it, and I can't hit it. It just seems like it goes right through it. But what the crap? Look at it. Like, I ain't making nothing up. It's like 20 feet in the air. Maybe 30. I don't know. I ain't good at distance. But it doesn't make sense. Somebody help me. And please, for the love of God, don't let it be them stupid people that we're living in a matrix. No, we don't.
Suspended above the rooftops is what appears to be a small tree branch, green leaves still attached, drifting slowly through the air. Not tumbling, not spinning, simply gliding. He follows it with his camera for more than 2 minutes, repeatedly looking around as if expecting to find a kite, a drone, or someone playing a prank. At one point, almost under his breath, he says, "It's literally just a floating branch." The quiet way he says it somehow makes the moment even stranger. Online, viewers quickly divided into 2 camps. Skeptics suggested it could have been suspended beneath a drone using nearly invisible line or lightweight rigging. Others proposed fishing lines stretched between structures, though nothing resembling either is visible in the footage. Paranormal enthusiasts saw something else entirely. Some compared it to reports of apports, a term used in paranormal literature to describe objects that allegedly appear or are displaced without an obvious physical cause. Others linked it to stories of psychokinesis, the controversial idea that an unseen force could influence physical objects, or even elemental spirits from folklore, where branches, leaves, and stones are said to move in unnatural ways as signs of an unseen presence. Of course, none of those explanations have been scientifically verified, but that's exactly why clips like this continue to spark debate. Whatever was keeping that branch suspended, it wasn't falling, it wasn't caught in any obvious current, and for more than 2 minutes, it seemed perfectly content to remain exactly where it shouldn't have been. The following clips come from what appears to be an ongoing series of recordings made inside the same home, a lived-in apartment with children's drawings on the walls, toys scattered on the floor, and a security camera running through the night. According to the person behind the camera, the activity has been escalating across multiple incidents, and he's been documenting each one. In the first clip, he's decided to investigate a disturbance in the dark, despite his wife warning him not to. He gets out of bed, moves through the house with his phone as a light source, checks a wardrobe, finds nothing out of the ordinary, but the security camera feed running in the corner of the frame tells a different story. Watch.
Shh. Let me just check. It's coming from the cupboard. Could you please stop?
According to the family, the knocking had become so common that they eventually started speaking to whatever was causing it. At one point, the husband reportedly asked it politely to stop. Instead of quieting down, the knocking grew louder and more aggressive, leading some viewers to speculate that whatever was behind the sounds seemed to react to being acknowledged. Another night, the disturbances returned. Once again, he woke up to a strange noise and left bed to investigate, expecting another false alarm. Instead, he got the scare of his life. Watch.
This started again. Yalla, go to sleep now. Don't get up. It's almost the same time.
What's harder to shake is the pattern. 2 separate nights, and now they've become so used to it, they even have a name for whatever's been in this house. They call it Jerry. And now the 5-year-old son has started asking about Jerry by name. Listen closely.
Oh my god. Ajay, क्या है ये? It's just near the door.
Daddy, what is it?
Nothing, but I'll just go to sleep now, okay?
Is that Jerry?
I don't know. Just
just be quiet now.
Please, I beg you. Majja, don't go. Listen to me.
It's okay, just be quiet.
The scratching is unmistakable, a series of quick taps and scrapes, repeating with that uneven rhythm that's genuinely difficult to attribute to pipes or settling walls. And then the moment the father gets up to check, it stops completely. That detail alone is what gets under people's skin, because an accidental sound doesn't respond to presence. A named entity that a child has come to know casually, that scratches at a door and goes quiet the second someone moves toward it. That's a different kind of unsettling entirely. The fourth clip is silent again, and it documents something more subtle. A lamp with a black and white geometric pattern, filmed on the static security camera in the early hours of the morning, turning on and off by itself in an empty room. Watch.
I just have no words. Let me just show you the video itself. Okay.
When he went back into the room, viewers noticed what appears to be a shadowy figure moving behind him, following his path through the room before disappearing from sight. And then comes what may be the most compelling footage of all. The most extensive footage in this set captures what may be the most direct evidence yet. He's woken up in the night again, this time by the sound of the kitchen tap running. He gets up, finds the tap on, turns it off, and almost immediately hears water running again. The lights in the hallway won't turn on. He notices a child's red scooter near the door that he doesn't remember being there before he slept. And briefly, along a white wall, a faint wispy anomaly rises upward and disappears. Watch.
It's 5 minutes early today.
The security camera footage recorded earlier that same night fills in what the first-person view couldn't capture. A dark, translucent shadow figure moves across the living room, pushing the scooter, then walks away as the scooter continues rolling on its own. The figure reappears later, crossing from the hallway into the kitchen, and moments after it enters that space, the sound of the tap turning on begins. That sequence, the figure entering the kitchen, followed immediately by the water, is what a lot of viewers find most difficult to rationalize away. Some believe shadow figures of this kind represent a conscious presence, something with intent rather than residual energy, a distinction that matters because intent implies awareness of the people living there. Others point to the misplaced scooter, the unresponsive light switches, the child who already knows the ghost's name, and suggest that whatever is in this apartment has been making itself comfortable for a while. The family seems to know it. The 5-year-old isn't even scared yet, and that might be the most unnerving detail across all of these clips. Not the blurs, not the lamp, not the shadow pushing a toy across the floor, but the fact that a child has simply accepted it as part of home. Whether this is one presence or several, whether Jerry is a name given to something ancient or something entirely modern, the footage keeps coming, and whatever is in that apartment doesn't appear to be going anywhere. The following clips were both recorded inside what appears to be a large warehouse store, the kind of place that feels completely different after hours, when the shelves are still stocked, but every aisle is empty, and the only sound is the hum of the lights overhead. The man filming had been alone, locked inside a small monitoring room, watching security cameras, when he started hearing something he couldn't explain. He describes it in Spanish, something scratching the walls, coming from somewhere nearby. He insists he doesn't want these things to happen, which tells you this isn't the first time something's felt off in this building. Watch closely.
Raza, estaba yo aquí monitoreando las cámaras en un cuarto encerrado y se escuchó como si alguien estuviera rascando la pared. Ya, no, de verdad, ya no quiero que pasen estas cosas. ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué cojones? ¿Qué mierda fue eso?
Two sounds hit him in quick succession, a loud, forceful scraping or thudding against the wall, enough to jolt the camera, and then a sharp knock directly on the metal door. He opens it and steps out into the service corridor, then into the main store, clearly shaken, checking the restroom, checking the hallway, and finding nothing, no one. That alone is unsettling. Some viewers think the sounds are consistent with what's sometimes described as poltergeist activity, not a ghost in the traditional sense, but an energy force said to interact physically with its environment, making contact through noise and impact, rather than appearing visually. Skeptics argue it could be pipes, settling metal, or an animal in the walls, but the knock on the door is harder to dismiss, because it's rhythmic, deliberate, and comes from exactly the right height. He still doesn't have an answer when the second incident happens. This time he's out in the store aisles, pushing his own cart, voice hushed, breathing audible, saying it feels like someone is watching him. Watch.
No sé qué está pasando. Realmente se escuchan ruidos a lo lejos. Está pasando algo muy extraño, no sé qué está pasando. Se siente como si alguien me estuviera observando. No lo sé. No mames.
An empty green shopping cart, sitting completely still in the middle of an aisle stocked with bottled beverages, suddenly rolls forward and to the right on its own, quick, a few feet, then stops. He reacts immediately with a loud, genuine exclamation of shock, and the sound of his own cart wheels rolling fast on the concrete tells you he didn't stick around. What makes this harder to explain is that both events happened in the same building, within what seems like the same shift. Scratching and knocking in the locked room, then a cart moving by itself in an empty aisle. Two separate incidents, two separate forms of physical interaction, and no one else in the building. So what exactly is in that store? This next clip comes from a night investigation inside the ruins of St. Mary's Church in Colston Bassett, Nottinghamshire, a site that traces its origins back to the 12th century and has drawn paranormal investigators for decades, some of whom claim to have encountered demonic activity within its crumbling stone walls. The team is moving through the interior using a handheld camera on night vision, panning slowly across the ancient stonework, when something outside catches the frame. Watch.
Just the same as what it says at the front.
In the right-hand section of a large window opening divided by a central stone pillar, a dark vertical shape appears, moving quickly from right to left, passing behind the pillar and then simply vanishing before it clears the other side. The team insists all members were accounted for at the time. Some viewers think it's residual energy, the kind of repeating imprint that old religious sites are said to hold. Others believe it's something more aware, something that knew the camera was pointed at that window. Either way, it doesn't wait around to be identified. What exactly passed through that window frame? The following video was recorded by a man who, for a while now, has been dealing with something he can't quite get a handle on inside his home. And the frustrating part isn't just what he claims to have seen, it's that the very cameras he set up to catch it keep failing him. He's got a small white cube-shaped security camera resting on top of a pink candle jar in his living room, and a second one elsewhere in the house, and according to him, neither will show him what they're supposed to be recording. When he tries to pull up the footage, he says all he gets is a black screen. So on this particular afternoon, with natural daylight pouring in through the window blinds, he decides to walk the room himself with a handheld camera and address a viewer's comment head-on. Someone who suggested the movement caught in a previous clip looked like it was pulled by a string. His black dog wanders alongside him the whole time, calm and unbothered. But then, around the 90-second mark, something makes him pause mid-sentence. Watch.
What you doing, Doogie? What you doing? You're like, what you doing? What you want? You're so spoiled. You're so spoiled. Well, yeah, the camera's not working. It just won't. Look. You're my good boy. You're my good boy. I'm not tired. Yeah, I don't know what else to do, y'all. This camera's messed up. And that one over there, I don't even have it uncovered no more. That one won't connect either. Well, it'll connect, but it won't. When it says there's a video or motion, when I go to view the video, it's just a black screen, so I don't know what to I don't know. I don't know if I just seen that or not. We'll find out here shortly, I guess. I just wanted to update y'all, let you know I'm working on these cameras. Here, let me hop off of here. I want to see this. I want to see if I'm tripping or not. Yeah, hold on.
He doesn't say what exactly caught his eye, only that he isn't sure if he just seen that or not. He walks straight toward the window, zooms in on the curtain rod and the top edge of the sheer fabric, and holds the shot there, the curtain completely still, nothing visibly attached, nothing moving. You decide whether that means the skeptics were right, or whether whatever he saw simply stopped before the camera got there. If something was there, it wasn't performing for anyone this time. In this next clip, a couple in their living room are just settling in for a quiet evening watching TV. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to suggest anything strange is about to happen. The man is filming from the couch, his partner relaxed beside him, a cat wandering between them, a nature documentary playing in the background. Then he notices something. A ceiling lampshade in the middle of the room is swaying slowly on its own. Not a dramatic swing, just a persistent, gentle, circular motion that doesn't stop. He checks the windows himself. They're closed. Watch.
Alright, so we're just watching TV, and the lampshade's been moving on its own. We've no idea why. There's no window open. There's no reason why it should be moving, but it keeps moving. I have no idea why. So, if someone can explain that to me. Oh, Rory wants to play with his elastic band. But there's no one in the room. There's no reason why it should be moving, but it keeps moving. See? Just trying to enjoy a Starbucks whilst watching David Attenborough, and this is happening.
Maybe like David Attenborough.
Also, for anyone wondering, there's no one over there. There's no one over there. You know, it's still moving. So, someone please explain that to me.
It's the consistency of it that gets under your skin, not a single sway that could be dismissed as a draft, but a continuous, steady movement that keeps going throughout the entire clip. His partner even jokes that maybe it doesn't like David Attenborough. But here's the thing, no heating vent, no fan, no open door is visible anywhere in that room. Some viewers think subtle structural vibrations from a nearby road or appliance could explain it. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the cat on the coffee table keeps watching the window, as if it's tracking something the camera can't quite reach. So what do you think is moving it? Now in this next clip, a man is home alone late at night when something starts happening at his bedroom door that he can't explain. He films himself first, eyes wide, voice shaking, speaking directly into his phone in Spanish, telling his followers that he lives alone, that there's nobody else in the apartment, and that something is trying to open his door. You can hear the panic in his voice before the camera even turns around. Watch.
Amigo, estoy solo en mi casa y hay alguien que me quiere abrir la puerta. Estoy solo, vivo solo, chabón. Y se está abriendo la manija, es returbio, mirá. ¿Quién está ahí? ¿Quién quiere abrir la puerta? ¿Quién está ahí?
The door handle moves up and down on its own, rhythmically, persistently, like someone on the other side is working it over and over. He shouts out asking who's there, gets no answer. then throws the door open and tears through the apartment, the hallway, the bathroom, a dark back room, and finds absolutely nothing. No one. The handle moving is one thing, but what makes this harder to dismiss is that the motion is mechanical, deliberate, the kind that requires a physical hand operating a lever. Some viewers think the whole thing was staged with a wire or a string rigged to the handle. Others aren't so sure, pointing out that the frantic search through the apartment reads as completely genuine panic, not performance. So what exactly was working that handle? You decide. In this next clip, security camera footage from the night of October 5th, 2017, captures something unusual, moving through what appears to be a long, narrow, institutional hallway, the kind of corridor that already feels uneasy even when nothing is happening. The timestamp reads 11 past 11 p.m. The hallway is empty, lit by overhead fluorescent light, and by all appearances, nothing should be moving through it at all. Then it starts. Watch. Four times across the span of just over a minute, bright white orbs of light appear at the far end of the hall and travel rapidly toward the camera, dropping to the floor and vanishing before they reach it. The second light form moves in the opposite direction, shooting away down the corridor and disappearing. The fourth behaves differently still, darting erratically before shooting upward toward the ceiling. What's harder to explain is the timing of the third orb. It materializes almost immediately after a figure briefly crosses the far end of the hallway at around the 59-second mark, appearing in almost the exact same spot they just passed through. Some viewers immediately point to orbs as one of the most commonly reported forms of paranormal energy, believed by many in the ghost hunting community to represent spirits or conscious entities moving through a spy. Skeptics, on the other hand, argue that security camera footage is notorious for catching insects or airborne dust lit by IR sensors, which can produce fast-moving bright anomalies. But the behavior here, 4 separate appearances, different directions, different trajectories, and that timing near the figure makes the insect explanation harder to hold on to cleanly. So what do you think is moving through that hallway? In this next clip, a woman named Marissa has been dealing with something that's been getting progressively harder to explain away. Mysterious bruises, scratches, items disappearing from places she left them, and nights where she can't sleep at all, waking up at 3 a.m. or not sleeping at all. She's documented it before, and viewers from her previous videos have pointed out what they believe are letters visible in the scratches on her skin. But it's the physical injuries that really began to concern people, including a large, dark, raised welt on her stomach that was painful enough to send her to the hospital, where doctors couldn't identify what caused it or offer any explanation. The nurse noted her heartbeat was unusually fast, and she was running close to a fever. At this point, Marissa says she feels like whatever is in her bedroom is escalating, moving from unsettling to something that's actually affecting her body. She reaches a point where she decides to do something she'd been hesitant about. Use a Ouija board as a last resort, this time with a friend named Shanna. Watch closely.
Ready, News? Okay, so how do we do it? We say hello to the spirit or what? Is there a spirit in this room? Oh my god. Are you male or female? That looks like an F to me. That does look like an F. Do you have a message for us? H E he L hell? Oh my god, please don't be hell. Maybe it's like the devil. Help. Is it gonna say something else? Like help what? Maybe we should ask it something else. What do we ask it? Is this room haunted? Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god, do you hear that? Yeah. Sushi's scratching at the door. Ask it something else. Is anything bad gonna happen to me? Are you moving it? No, I'm not moving it. Me neither. I'm not moving it. Well, I'm definitely not moving it. Oh my god. I did not do that. I didn't do that either. Oh my god, that's really scary. I want to stop playing. We should say goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye, Ouija.
The session shifts from curious to genuinely unsettling almost immediately. When asked if there's a spirit in the room, the planchette slides to yes. When asked if the spirit is male or female, it moves to F. And when they ask for a message, it begins slowly spelling something out. H, E, L, and then the women start to panic, assuming it's spelling hell until the final letter lands on P. Help. That single word, spelled out letter by letter in a dark candlelit room, is the kind of thing that's hard to walk away from. Then the planchette gets knocked completely off the board, right after confirming that nothing bad is going to happen to Marissa, and both women immediately deny doing it. Their reactions, the gasping, the audible fear, the insistence that neither of them caused it, all feel spontaneous rather than staged. Skeptics would point to the ideomotor effect, a well-documented psychological phenomenon where people unconsciously move objects they're in contact with, including planchettes, without realizing they're doing it. Under that explanation, the word help could simply be the product of two frightened women's subconscious fears playing out through their fingertips. But that explanation doesn't quite account for the physical injuries Marissa described, the ones doctors at an actual hospital couldn't identify or explain. Some viewers familiar with demonology point out that the combination of physical marks appearing on someone's body, sleep disruption, and a spirit identifying itself as female through a board session follows a pattern they associate with attachment rather than a residual haunting, meaning whatever it is, according to that interpretation, isn't just lingering in the space, it's focused specifically on Marissa. Others think the scratches and bruises could still have mundane explanations, and that the Ouija session, whatever its cause, shouldn't be treated as confirmation of anything darker. If you've ever used a Ouija board, you probably already have an opinion on what you just watched, but the injuries, The ones with no diagnosis and no explanation, those are harder to file away. What caused them? And why does it keep getting worse? The board said nothing bad is going to happen to her. Whether that's reassuring or the most unsettling part of the whole session is something only Marissa can answer. In this next clip, a man is lying in bed filming his dark room on his phone, and what he catches sitting in the chair across from him has people seriously unsettled. The room is nearly pitch black, lit only by the faint glow of his screen, and from the moment the video starts, you can already hear how hard he's breathing. A figure is hunched over in a wooden-armed chair, dressed head to toe in black, with a balaclava completely covering its face, totally still. Not a single movement. He keeps the camera trained on it, hoping it stays that way. Watch.
I was on TikTok in my room when I heard something. I was hoping this fish didn't move.
The figure snaps upright and whips its head directly toward the camera in one sharp, unnatural movement, and his reaction is immediate panic. That jerk is what gets people. It's not slow, it's not gradual. It happens in an instant, the kind of speed that doesn't feel quite right for a person just waking up. Some think whoever, or whatever, was in that chair knew exactly when to move. Others aren't convinced it was a person at all. So what was sitting in his room? This next clip was filmed by a group exploring the Jesuitas Tacum, a wooded area in Santa Fe, Argentina, locally known as one of the old Jesuit forests, a place rumored to have once served as a cemetery, and one that carries a reputation for ritual activity that the cameraman, by his own admission, didn't entirely believe going in. He's filming on his phone at dusk, walking a dirt path deeper into the woods with a small group that includes another man in a white t-shirt, a woman in a black top, and 2 young children. Almost immediately, they find something on the ground near the base of a large tree, a dead black chicken, apparently sewn shut, the kind of thing left deliberately. The man in the white t-shirt picks it up at the cameraman's request, and what you see confirms this wasn't an animal that simply wandered off and died. The cameraman keeps pushing forward, narrating calmly, pointing out what he thinks might be old grave markers through the trees. Still skeptical, still filming. Watch.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas noches. Aquí comenzamos un programa más. Bueno, acá en este canal de YouTube. Estamos en uno de los bosques de lo llamado jesuita, en uno de los bosques que, bueno, acá en la ciudad de Santa Fe capital, en Argentina precisamente. Se comenta de que hubo un cementerio en un tiempo. La verdad es que yo no creo mucho porque tengo 30 años recién y la verdad que no tengo noción de lo que pasó acá. Salimos en un recorrido hace un momento con la familia y bueno, ya que estamos, quise hacer la toma del video para corroborar si la verdad lo que dicen de este supuesto cementerio es cierto. Dice que a esta hora más o menos de la noche, ya son aproximadamente 7:30 de la tarde, se aparecen cosas, se escuchan cosas, se ven, por ejemplo, acá hacen todo lo que hay gualichos. Acá pueden ver, pueden corroborar que hay un animal, miren, un animal muerto también, de los gualichos que se hacen acá en esta zona. ¿Lo puedes levantar, por favor? Sí. ¿Ves? Este animal lo sacamos ahora estamos viéndolo recién. Si ustedes aprecian ahí en el pecho, tiene una cosida, seguramente que en la cosida esa que tiene ahí, estilo como algo quirúrgico, acá dice que le ponen fotos, le ponen imágenes para hacer hechicería y esas cosas. Así que bueno, seguimos caminando, vamos a seguir viendo el bosque. Se dice que se escuchan gritos, se escuchan llantos. La verdad es que no creo mucho yo, pero bueno, allá pueden apreciar de aquel lado, están las tumbas. Se nota, se puede apreciar las tumbas de aquel lado. Pero bueno, vamos a ver de qué se trata. Se ven imágenes, se ven... Yo la verdad no creo nada, les vuelvo a repetir, yo no creo nada. Pero bueno, vamos a ver de qué se trata, vamos a ver qué onda. Así que bueno, vamos a ver de qué se trata. Ahí se puede ver uno de los... Allá atrás se puede apreciar, no sé si alcanza la toma de mi celular, porque mi celular es un celular muy bajo en resolución. Pero bueno, vamos a caminar a ver si podemos ver algo. Tenía también enterado de que tenía también en conocimiento de que no solamente se ven esas cosas, sino que se ven como brujas volando. Yo no creo en realidad en brujas, pero se ven cosas volando, así que bueno, no se ve nada. Así que lo que yo pensaba es cierto, no hay nada en estos lugares. Así que bueno, digamos. Tamara. Sí. ¿Cómo era? ¿Jesuita? ¿Cuánto se llamaba esto?
Jesuita
Bueno,
Tacum.
Jesuita Tacum. Ahí estamos con la familia caminando, recorriendo todo. Saludando.
Mirá.
No, esto de no creer, esto de no creer, vamos. Corran. La verdad que no me lo podía esperar, la verdad que no lo esperaba, pero acabamos de ver era como un duende, no sé qué, corriendo, así que vamos a ahí se ve, la verdad que se mueve, está en movimiento. La verdad que Jesús de Nazaret. No, vamos, corran. Agarrale.
There are two things that happen in this clip that are hard to talk past. The first is the brief blue-green orb that appears beside a tree trunk around the 2-minute mark and vanishes within a second, small, bright, and nothing like light catching a leaf or a lens flare. The second is what sends the entire group running, a tall, pale, thin, humanoid shape, standing between two trees in the low light, blurry and distant, but distinctly not a tree trunk. The cameraman himself calls it a duende, a term used across Latin American folklore to describe a small goblin-like figure, though what's visible here looks anything but small. Others in the comments pointed towards something connected to the gualichos, a word used in Argentine folk tradition to describe dark ritual workings or curses, suggesting whatever was left in that forest may have drawn something in. The children are in the frame when they run. That detail alone doesn't leave you easy.